at a strategic level. So we have a strategic outsourcing partnership where the partner runs, end-to-end IT operations and does the complete transformation, and it's a revenue sharing model. The challenge that I see in our industry, in our business model, is the sharing of business critical data with the outsourcing partner, with the outsourcing service provider. Most of these service providers also provide similar services to our competition, to others in the industry which is ours. And the critical resources, some of the key resources in with these service providers, they are very sought after in the industry, having specialized skills of security. And the challenge is, the challenge that we find is these people moving on to other engagements with the other service providers who are providing similar services to the competition in this industry, and the sensitive business data being shared. So that's really the challenge that I see.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And I think I couldn't write notes fast enough, but those were all very good insights, which then moves us to the second question. And basically, this is where you get a chance to tell the good news stories. And I think this is important because this morning, a couple of us were talking about, we constantly hear about the bad thing that happens, but we don't hear about the good stories and what's worked. So we'd like to start again with that question is, what were some of the information security challenges that you successfully overcame? And please share with them the best practice that you would tell a colleague in industry today, and sort of to the best you can. Now, obviously, it's an open forum. We have a lot of people in here, so you obviously want to be sensitive to intellectual property and corporate secrets. But basically, what was the problem, what was the solution, and what did you do to measure your success afterwards?
In fact, 2 years back, I got one engagement from Dr. Bajaj. His task was, do we have a data protection legislation in India? We have to create a white paper on data protection regime. We talked to a lot of individuals, and the answer was that in India, we do not have a data protection law. We do not have any data protection provision as such. But when we created that white paper, we came across that there are more than 6-7 laws which are talking from a point of view of data protection only, which are going to protect the off-sourcing industry as such. The point was, at that point of time, I'm talking 2 years back, most of the multinational consulting groups, they were simply saying that India is not a data protection safe destination. Why? Because India is not having data protection laws or privacy protection laws. The data is not safe, or it is not, you are not sending your data to a safe destination. So this is a kind of a problem which we came across. And I'm thankful to Dr. Bajaj that this kind of an engagement we saw, and we came out with the findings mentioning that India is still having a data protection regime, and that exists even today.
Thank you. Howard?
I guess I messed up. I kind of told my success story first.
Well, you can pass it on.
I'll simply add the biggest challenge to that was people again, and convincing people, regardless of how much money you convince them or you promise them that you're going to save by doing business a better way. Actually, it is better because you get not only monetary savings in this if you do it correctly and have good agreements crafted. Your efficiency is also much better. Your response time is better. But the people and the fact that it's changed, the loss of control, was and will continue to be a huge hurdle on that. And deep down, whether they admit it or not, it's one of the ways that we saved all of our money was we didn't need as many people anymore. It takes a lot less people to run one network than it does 13. And when you turn that over to professionals that are trained to do that, and they do it 24/7, it was daylight and dark difference. But it was truly a success story from my part.
Thank you. Dr. Bajaj?
Thank you. See, from the regulator's perspective, how do we show that there is compliance, that there is security implementation? How will you convince a regulator? The primary question which is asked every time, and I have seen it from the position of a service provider as a technical specialist also, and now in the semi-regulatory role, is the filling of a compliance checklist enough to give assurance of security? And I'm sure Terry can comment on it from both the sides, as a service provider as well as one of the big four consulting firms, audit firms also. Is that enough? So that is a challenge that we were facing as DSCI in the self-regulatory space, as to how do we tell our service providers in this country that if they implement this, then they'll be able to meet with the compliance requirements and also satisfy their clients. So this is something that we've been working on for the last year or so, and we have come up with a security framework which we announced in the month of August, and we have another security conference on 23rd, 24th November in Delhi, where we'll be talking about DSCI security framework and DSCI privacy framework. This is on data protection, and we have looked at the checklist part, or checklist process of driving security or showing to a client. Plus, we have also learned from the last 3-4 years of additional learnings that it is not the checklist only which is adequate, but you require to implement tactical guidelines of security also in the manner in which you work. And the framework that we have created incorporates this, and a lot of other learnings which have been put out by Gartner and Forrester over the last 2-3 years. In fact, FISMA implementation by the US federal government has found that the organizations that have implemented the best checklist-based security are the least secure, and they have got more money from the US government because they are more and more secure. So it's a dilemma from the regulator's perspective. And FISMA-led initiative with the multiple partners, service providers, NIST and other security experts have recently come up with the 20 tactical guidelines for security. I think it came out in the month of February this year. So we have drawn our learnings from all of these and built a framework which includes checklist plus the hardcore technology testing part, which should be part of the framework. But then again, a question remains, at what level of prescriptive or generic level you should be prescribing many of these things. We have seen the case of Massachusetts, where the regulations could not be implemented for 2 years because they became too prescriptive. Encryption is something which they mandated at all levels, and the entire